Hi everyone and welcome to another tutorial. In today's tutorial I'm going to do a secret pull slider card. Basically you pull in one end and you get this secret panel coming out in the other end, and you get kind of two areas to give messages on. I'm going to use some Doodlebug pattern paper from the Flea Market pattern paper pack, and I'm also using dies and stamps from MFT. The dies I'm using are the stitched rectangle dies and the inside outside oval dies, and the stamp set is the Fall Friends Stampset, which I here have stamped on some marker paper with some tuxedo black ink, and all the coloring of all these images, or most of the images, are towards the end of the video so that we can concentrate on the card. So first I cut two panels for the kind of slider mechanism in some pattern paper, and then I'm cutting the front panels for the front of the card, first in some cloud cardstock with the bigger rectangle, then in some brown houndstooth cardstock to kind of make a ground, and I'm then just going in with a scissor and making a hill of it. There is dies for that, but I haven't gotten them because I concentrated on other dies instead. Sometimes you have to choose, sadly. I'm also cutting out an oval or two ovals, one in Limelight cardstock and one in some Latte cardstock. The Latte one is a little smaller. And then I am going to cut the same size of rectangle as the background, and this is going to stabilize the front part of the card, so that's just going to be behind the pattern papers. And then I'm going to cut another piece which is an 1/8 of an inch smaller than that panel, so this is 4 by 5 1/4, and that is going to be our construction of the sliding mechanism. So yeah, that's how it looks. So you want the sliding mechanism to be a little bit bigger, kind of width-wise, than the panels that you use to show off. So I start by doing 1/2 inch both at the bottom and the top, and then I'm going in with 3/8 of an inch on the two sides, and I'm going in with 3/8 of an inch on the two sides to make it a little bit wider than the panel so that it's easy to get them to move. And because we are going to put the tape on the long sides, you don't want the panels to get stuck in that. Then I'm gonna cut the things that I colored them in so that you can see which parts you should cut. So I use the scissors to cut the shorter lines because I find that easier, but for the long lines I'm using my craft knife because I want to have one continuous line, because that will make the whole slide mechanism slide much easier. It's going to be a loop of plastic that is going to make the card slide. And when I moved that away, I'm going in with a candle. This is a tea light, that's the word, from IKEA. So it's just a cheap candle, but by rubbing it all over the cardstock, it will leave you with a very slick surface, and that will really improve the sliding of the mechanism. And then take a doggy poo bag. A doggy poo bag is very, very sturdy, and therefore it is perfect for all of your needs. And like a package of doggy poo bags are so affordable. We already have them in our home for our kitties, but to fix the kitty litter and stuff. So already something I had at home. I open up the circle here and I'm going to cut it off because it's going to be way too big for our card otherwise. And then I'm going to do a loop of it, and I'm going to use some really sticky double-sided tape in this. I think this is score tape, Be Creative tape, or Sukwan tape, depending on where you buy it from, but it's basically the same tape. And I'm putting it at the edge of the bag, which I have looped around my mechanism. Then I remove the paper. It's not always easy to remove the paper from that kind of tape, and then I'm gonna loop the rest of the bag on top, and I'm carefully going to cut it. I'm just making sure that it actually moves perfectly. Then I'm going to cut off the extra parts. Now you get a seam, and that seam can actually not move around, so you want to be aware of where that seam is when you put the card together at the end. So in a little while I'm going to show you, after I've made all the panels, I'm going to put it together, and you want to make sure that you know where your seam is when you do this. Then I'm going to add some foam tape. You don't need foam tape if you don't want to use foam tape. However, I'm going to put a couple of layers of cardstock on top of my panels when I'm kind of building them up, and therefore I want that extra space so they don't get stuck in the front and the back of the card. So I use 2 layers of foam tape, but I've seen many of these slider cards that actually work great just using tape. So that's that part. Now to the panels. So I'm going to do 2 panels, and I've chosen to make 2 different sizes of ovals because I'm going to have different sizes of kind of wreaths. I also use these little ovals because I don't like stamping directly on pattern paper. I feel that the sentiment usually can kind of disappear into the pattern, even when the pattern is very lightly, as they are on these 2 pattern papers. But also I got this fine edge to follow to make the wreath, so it made it a little bit easier to put the card together. So here is all the images after I colored them. Again, the coloring is at towards the end of the video, so if you want to see the coloring, you can find it there. All the Copics and stuff I've used, including all the materials I've used, are linked in the description down below. So if you're wondering anything that I use throughout the video, it should be linked in the description down below. Then I'm going to use some Lawn Fawn glue tube, and this is so wonderful. I love it. I just completely love that glue tube because it's very easy. It's a very sticky white glue, so it's very easy to use. It dries rather quickly, and yeah, what more do you want? I really love it. And I also love that it comes in the tube because it's usually easy to squeeze out. But I've had mine standing with the bottom down, which you really shouldn't. So I had to shake it a little bit and stuff, but otherwise it's been great. You could actually just use this little acorn wreath, either just having 1 layer or just having a couple of acorns at the bottom of the feet of the squirrel. However, I went all in and just added loads of them because squirrels loves acorns. By the way, I did use these little green leaves. However, I didn't angle them enough, so they are actually disappearing underneath my leaves. That wasn't what I was supposed to do, but the glue has dried, so I couldn't move them. So it's basically just a second layer on top. However, you could either just use those little green leaves, or you could angle them a little bit outwards more so they could stick out. However, I really like how this kind of fall wreath came together with these both different sizes and different colored leaves, but still got that orangey feel. And that is the panel. I add these little blocks on top of them so that they can dry quickly, but this glue dries super quickly, so I don't know if I really needed them. And then I'm putting up my little own pumpkin patch. So I have an idea where I want her to go, and then I'm just taking all of these pumpkins that I've colored because I was crazy, and then I put them together. But I realized here that I forgot to do a little bit of a hole for the pull tab, so I'm just doing half a circle. That's a 3/4 inch punch, but you can really use anyone, just what you think looks great. And then I just continue to layer my little pumpkins. By the way, coloring all these images took me about 1.5 hours, and then cutting them out took about 1.5 hours. So if you're gonna do something crazy as I did here, get the dies, get the matching dies. It probably was worth it, but I didn't have them, so I just used my fussy cutting scissors because I'm an insane human being. But yeah, I just create all of these pumpkins for my little pumpkin patch, kind of figuring out, should I have a squirrel? Should I have a squirrel? And like, no, I'm not gonna have a squirrel. No squirrels for me. I'm adding some double-sided foam tape just back of the characters to make them stand out a little bit more, and then some on top of some, or behind, of course, some of those other pumpkins to make them overlap the bigger pumpkin, to make it kind of fit into the scene even better. The smallest pumpkin, I'm just using a combination of foam tape and glue to make it stick really perfectly. So now for the rest of construction. So the panel, this is the pull panel. This will be behind the construction. So I put the tape on the left side. Also, I'm gonna add a little bit of a ribbon to help you pull it out. It makes it a little bit less fiddly to try to grab that cardstock. So I'm just using a hole punch and a little piece of ribbon that has about the same orange as the pumpkins, so it kind of ties in together nicely. On the right back side of the secret panel, I'm putting another strip of the Sukwan tape. And the reason why I'm using the Sukwan tape is then you can pull and do all of that without it falling apart, because it's a very, very strong adhesive. So here you see I put the seam to the left side bottom, the bottom left side, and then I put the secret card, and then on the behind I'm gonna layer the pull tab, and I'm lining both of them up to the edges, so when you pull it, it hides perfectly, and then you can pull it out and you can see as much as possible of the panels. I remove the foam tape from the front of the construction, and then I layer it on top of our panel, our front panel, and then I'm removing the foam tape and I'm layering the whole panel together with the construction onto a card base. I actually have a foldable card base for this, so that you can write a message into your card, and then you can just pull it out like this, and you find that little secret tab, and if you push it in, you can see you can't really see the secret tab at all, and then you pull it out and you get both of those panels out. I hope you liked this construction video. I had a lot of fun creating this card. I had all of these ideas and I added them onto the same card, because sometimes you have to be that crazy. And now for the coloring. I'm doing these cute little eyes on these characters, and if you didn't know it, I do have a video showing how I do this on these, not this specific stamp, but on the BB stamp set by My Favorite Things. Birdie Brown, that's her name. She does these really, really cute characters, and I do have a video. I think I do it on the mermaids. But I will link it in the description down below if you want to see that. I just kind of give her real eyes instead of just the dots. I'm not now going to say something that I'm going to make you kind of get annoyed with this card for the rest of the time, and that is, I feel I just needed some eyebrows and I never added any eyebrows, and that is bothering me really much. But yeah, the card is done. That's how it is. I used some greens for eyes, and I'm going to continue using them throughout the card. And then I'm going to use the E50s for her hair and her shoes. And I'm actually using E50s in different shades and forms for all the browns for this card. Then I'm using some greens that is almost towards a kind of a bluer tone for her jacket. And then I'm going to use some more lime greens, yellow greens for her skirt, her scarf and her hat. And all of the Copics that I'm using in this video are linked in the description down below. So if you want to try out my color combinations, you'll find them in the description down below. You also find all these information over on my blog, if that is something you want. The orange combination I'm using for my pumpkins are YR18, YR15 and YR21. It's a little bit of a softer orange. It's not the pow in your face, and I kind of like to have a little bit of a softer orange for my pumpkins. So that is the color scheme. Then I'm using the same greens for the eyes of what I think is the little sister, because the big sister is the daring one and sitting on the pumpkin, so then the little sister is the little one standing besides, just want to join in and play. I'm using the same color scheme on her, with the same skin color, the same kind of rosy cheeks and everything. But I am switching some of the colors up on the clothing. I'm using the same technique for the eyes also. And the coloring I'm using for the hair is again the darker E50s. I'm going to use some lighter E50s for the squirrels and the acorns to kind of bring the same colors into the card. So even though I have a lot going, it's just the same few colors, limited color schemes, and then I can get away with having a lot of things going on. I said here that I did a little bit of different than her big sister, and that is I'm inverting the colors, so she gets a lime green jacket, and then her hat, scarf and skirt gets to be in the darker green, or in the more bluish green. Then I'm gonna color the squirrel, and I actually colored a whole bunch of squirrels. I colored them with the E57, E55 and then E53. I actually end up coloring the other squirrels in just the E55 and E53, because the E57 wants to take over and it doesn't blend as good with the E55 as the E55 and E53 blend together. And I use the R32 and 30 for the cheeks and the ears of the little squirrel. For the leaves, I'm just doing very simple, going from the inside and out. So I'm just showing one leaf each here, or you would again be stuck with me forever. And the pumpkin, I'm just using the E18 and the E15. I just used the wire 21 on the big pumpkin. So yeah. That is the video. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, I hope you liked the video. If you do, please thumbs it up. It means a lot to me. If you have any questions, just comment down below. Down below you find all the details. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button and please share it with your friends. It means a lot to me. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!